Ravi Patel adjusted the collar of his Academy-issued uniform. As he walked through the enormous corridors of Orion Nexus, the spaceborne campus of the Interstellar Science Consortium, the station drifted quietly between gravitational wells of 3 suns, a triangle of light that made the windows glow with alien auroras. He was one of only 10 humans accepted to study here, and every footstep reminded him how alone he was. The ceilings stretched 3 stories high to accommodate species that crawled, floated, or towered like buildings. Even the walls shimmered. With technology Ravi couldn't begin to understand pulsing, humming, and watching. As he walked, aliens gave him a wide berth. Some ducked behind display pods, some turned their heads or whatever passed for heads away. A cluster of Amari vinelings twisted nervously when he passed, releasing tiny pollen clouds scented with fear. Ravi sighed. He hadn't meant to intimidate anyone. He'd smiled once early on, but the gesture of goodwill had nearly caused a stampede. Among most species, baring teeth was a predator's signal. On Earth, it meant hello. Here, it meant run. He heard whispered words in half-familiar dialects: Deathworlder, predator, threat, always those same 3. He pulled his tablet from his belt and tried to focus on the next lecture, Comparative Exoecology, hosted by Professor Near, an ancient entity made of iridescent gas, trapped inside a transparent exosuit. Fascinating stuff. Terrifying instructor. The lecture hall was half full when he arrived, or maybe it was completely full. Hard to tell when students were doing everything in their power to avoid sitting near him. Ravi found an empty spot in the back. The chair was awkward, clearly built for a species with more than 2 legs and no spine. He made it work. Then she entered Juno Takahashi, the only other human in his cohort. Her ponytail bounced with each step, and her eyes scanned the room with quiet confidence. The aliens avoided her too, but Juno didn't seem to care. She took the seat next to Ravi without hesitation. "Back to being space monsters today?" she asked, cracking open her tablet. "Every day," Ravi replied. "I was a wildlife rehab volunteer on Earth. Spent most of my time nursing hurt birds and chipmunks. Now I'm apparently a nightmare." Juno snorted. "I taught toddlers. If anyone here had seen me with finger paint, they'd run even faster." The room quieted as Professor Near descended from the ceiling. In a graceful spiral, the light inside. His suit flickered with authority. Today, his voice vibrated across species frequencies. "We begin our unit on apex predators." A soft murmur of excitement passed through the alien students. Ravi noted the intensity in their eyes, compound, bioluminescent, or otherwise. Most of them came from lush, peaceful planets, garden worlds. They didn't grow up running from claws. In the dark, predators were abstract to them, curiosities in textbooks or simulations. Professor Near raised a limb and gestured toward the center of the room. A transparent containment field shimmered into existence. "You will not only study a predator today," he said, "you will witness one." The alien students shifted eagerly in their seats. A few chirped, others clicked their mandibles or flared feathery crests. Even Ravi leaned forward. "The creature you are about to observe," the professor continued, "is from the planet Draxon Theta, located on the outer rim. A volcanic death world with gravity spikes and toxic storms. It is home to only the hardiest of life." The shimmer inside the containment field darkened. A silhouette appeared, then became solid. The gasps were instant. A hulking form stood nearly 8 feet tall, covered in matte black fur that drank in the surrounding light. Bioluminescent streaks glowed faintly purple across its body, pulsing like veins. Its limbs were long and sinewy, its head angular and alert. Jet black eyes scanned the room, unsettlingly intelligent. Professor Near spoke with reverence. "This is a Morvaxian phase stalker. It is one of the most lethal organisms in recorded space. It hunts alone. It has a 98% success rate. No record exists of one being captured before today." The phase stalker reached out and tapped the containment field with a claw. Sparks danced. It was testing, watching. Several alien students yelped and scooted away. A crystalline student cracked involuntarily. One of the serpentine scholars from Signor 3 curled into a defensive knot. Ravi didn't flinch. The creature moved again, silently, graceful, calculating, not a mindless beast, a predator. Yes, but one with focus. Juno leaned over. Look how it moves. I know, Ravi whispered. It's not reacting out of instinct, it's observing. The Morvaxian scanned the room. Its glowing stripes turned crimson when it locked eyes with the alien students. Its lips curled back, jagged fangs bared. But when its gaze passed over Ravi and Juno, something changed. The crimson faded back to violet. It tilted its head, then stepped forward. Its eyes fixed on the humans. A feathered student in the front squeaked and fainted. Medical drones zipped into action, lifting the unconscious alien out of the room. Professor Near didn't even pause. As you see, the psychological presence of apex predators creates instinctive fear. Your evolutionary memory recognizes death. But what if, Ravi said aloud, it's not trying to scare us? The entire room turned to stare at him. Even the phase stalker paused. The Morvaxian phase stalker was now fully alert, but it wasn't displaying aggression, at least. Not in the way Professor Near described. Ravi leaned slightly forward in his seat, noting the subtle twitch of its claws, the way its head tilted. Not like a hunter preparing to pounce, but like a dog trying to understand a command. The violet pulses in its bioluminescent stripes shifted rhythm. It wasn't threatening anyone anymore, it was studying them right back. Juno had begun recording the light patterns with her tablet. Her fingers flew over the interface, switching between capture modes. Ravi, she murmured, these lights, they're not random. Ravi nodded. I thought the same thing. It's not just mood signaling, they look like language. The creature's gaze shifted, and it locked eyes with Juno again. Its glow grew slightly brighter, and the patterns along its flank slowed to a steady cascade. Then it turned to Ravi and the lights altered again. It's giving different responses to each of us. Ravi whispered from the front. A sharp sound cracked through the room as a crystalline student named Varix shattered a small shard from his own torso in fright. The humans aren't afraid, he hissed. Why should we be? Juno said calmly, not looking away from the creature. Predators don't always mean violence. Sometimes it just means survival. Professor Near's glow dimmed briefly, a flicker of confusion or unease. Typically, the phase stalker becomes increasingly violent when its prey does not display submission or fear. But this behavior is anomalous. The creature took a step closer to the field nearest to Ravi and Juno. The bioluminescent streaks pulsed in tight, repeating sequences. Purple faded into a delicate blue. The patterns stretched across its body with mathematical precision. It's structured, Juno said, awe creeping into her voice. That's sentence logic. Introductory sequence, pause, variation. This is a code. It's trying to talk to us, Ravi said. The classroom was utterly still. Even the more breathable atmosphere felt charged. Juno whispered, this isn't just sentience. This is civilization. The phase stalker moved its hand, drawing a shape into the containment field's energy shell with a glowing claw. It wasn't a threat, it was deliberate. The shape was a triangle, followed by a symbol that resembled a spiral. Then it repeated. The pattern, Professor, Juno called out without turning her head. Have you seen these symbols before? The ancient being paused, flickering like a faulty hologram. No, but the spiral is sometimes associated with identity markers in pre-contact civilizations. I must review the linguistic databases. The creature repeated the motion, then pointed first at itself, then at the humans. Ravi inhaled slowly. It's showing us it's aware of us as individuals. It knows we're different. The phase stalker's expression remained unreadable, but its body language shifted again. It lowered into a crouch, not a pounce, but a mimicry. Ravi recognized the posture as the same one he'd taken earlier, adjusting to get a better look. It was copying him. Professor Near made a sharp, chimming sound. This cannot be. Phase stalkers have no mimicry behavior. Their neurological scans suggest limited prefrontal cortex activity. This level of mirroring is biologically implausible. Then maybe your scans are outdated, Ravi replied. Or maybe your assumptions were wrong from the start. The creature gave a low, rolling hum. It wasn't threatening. It sounded, please. Juno tilted her head. You hear that? That's not a snarl. That's more like a purr. Varix, still watching nervously from the wall, hissed again. "It could be luring you in." Camouflaged aggression is a documented trait among hypercarnivorous species. "No," Ravi said. "You don't mimic your prey like this. You mimic kin." The creature's glow shifted again, faster now, more deliberate. Patterns rolled up its arms and across its chest, and Ravi's jaw slowly dropped. Morse. He breathed. "It's copying Morse code structure." Juno's eyes widened. "And sign rhythm too. Maybe adapted from some kind of native light speech system. It's trying to bridge the gap," Ravi said. "We're not just analyzing it anymore. This is dialogue." Professor Near descended a few feet lower, cautiously. "If this is genuine communication, then all recorded data on phase stalker cognition must be re-evaluated. But I must caution you, if this creature is sapient, its captivity could violate 6 galactic accords." The phase stalker stood up. Again, gently placing one clawed hand against the energy field directly across from Juno. Without fear, she stood and approached it. She didn't touch the barrier, just mirrored the motion. The glow intensified. And then, the creature produced a sound that sent shivers through the room. A word, low, melodic, with layered tones and guttural notes. It pointed at itself as it spoke. Then it pointed at Juno and spoke a second word. "A name," Ravi said, stunned. The first sound was its species. The second was its own name. Juno was blinking in disbelief. "It gave us its name." The room broke into soft, astonished murmurs. "It knows what names are," said a stunned Grolan student. "And it just gave itself one," said another. The phase stalker pointed at Ravi next and gave a soft noise. Then it copied Ravi's earlier gesture and said, "Human." It had learned. Professor Near slowly activated his data stream and began broadcasting live logs to the consortium. Juno whispered, "If this is real, and I think it is, then this isn't a predator showcase anymore. This is first contact." The phase stalker lowered its hand and began to emit rapid pulses of blue and green light. The new sequences danced across its fur like rivers. Slowly, they morphed into recognizable forms, landscapes, stars, creatures. Ravi nearly choked. "It's painting with light. That's not just language, that's history." The creature turned its head toward them, as if waiting for a response. And in that moment, Ravi understood. It wasn't alone because it was dangerous. It was dangerous because it had always been alone. The lights flowing across the Morvaxian's body pulsed like a living canvas, each image telling fragments of a life the galaxy had ignored. Forests made of black stone, twin moons rising above toxic rivers, packmates surrounding a glowing nest. Then came warfires burning across the land, metallic ships descending like shadows. The lights dimmed. One by one, the other figures in the visions faded, until only one remained. Alone. Juno felt a tightness in her chest. "Ravi, it's not just talking, it's remembering, it's mourning," Ravi said softly. "It's showing us what happened to its people." The classroom had fallen completely silent. Even the most nervous students had moved closer. No one was afraid anymore. They were mesmerized. Professor Near's shimmering body stilled. The flickers within his containment suit reduced to a soft ember. These patterns are consistent with lost symbols found in multiple sentient cultures. This being is not merely intelligent, it is grieving. The Morvaxian turned toward Ravi and Juno. New light pulses spiraled across its chest and arms. Shapes repeated with increasing clarity. "A question. It's asking us something," Juno said, already running the latest sequence through her linguistic software. "I think. Yes, it wants to know if we'll help it." The phrase repeated again in lights and soft tones, this time slower, more hopeful. Ravi took a breath and stepped forward. "Yes," he said clearly, "we will help." The creature's glow flared not in aggression, but in joy. Its light became bright enough to illuminate the entire lecture hall. Professor Near dimmed his own glow in response, overwhelmed by the display. This is no predator display," the professor said. "It is celebration." The classroom doors slid open with a metallic hiss. Director Thalos entered, flanked by for security drones. He was tall, pale, with smooth silver skin and 6 fingers on each hand. His voice boomed with authority. I was informed of a containment breach, he said. Stepping into the room, explain why this creature is still conscious, Director. Professor Near said cautiously, we are in the middle of a historic breakthrough. This being is communicating. Thalos glanced around. His gaze landed on the light show the Morvaxian's still active patterns, forming what now looked like star maps and coordinates. Communicating? This is a phase stalker. They're listed as Tier Zeta threats. They were, Juno said. Until today. Stand down, Ravi added. This one is sapient. It's not just responding, it's asking questions. The security drones hovered closer. The Morvaxian immediately shifted position, placing itself between the drones and the humans. Its light flickered red for the first time since the early moments. Not hostile, but protective. Thalos narrowed his eyes. That is a defensive stance, because you brought weapons. Juno shot back. It's trying to protect us. One of the students, a pale-furred Arborian, stood from her seat. They're right. It doesn't see us as prey. It hasn't attacked anyone. Another student, this one crystalline, chimed in. It's shown more emotional nuance than half my professors. Professor Near's amber glow shifted toward warm green, his species' signal of support. Director, I respectfully request that we do not escalate this situation. The being is not a specimen. It is a person. Thalos hesitated, clearly calculating. His fingers flexed. Even so, protocol demands recontainment. Then protocol is wrong, Ravi said. The Morvaxian's light patterns shifted. This time, they showed humans drawn in light, not caricatures or threats, but equals. It included the two of them, Juno and Ravi, standing next to its own silhouette. Then came the stars again, dozens of them. Clusters of faint glows surrounded by darkness. Small lights faded into shadows. They're spread out, Juno whispered. They're scattered, hiding. They're refugees, Ravi said. Scared, alone, and probably being hunted because everyone assumed they were beasts. Why hasn't anyone seen this before? One student asked. Because everyone assumed, Juno replied. No one looked deeper. Until now. Director Thalos exhaled. This changes. Very little. The council will need far more than pretty lights and sympathy. You want them to change their classification. You'll need irrefutable proof. We have it, Professor Near said, gesturing to the vast stream of data already uploading to consortium archives. And more is coming. The Morvaxian raised one hand again. Its lights shifted, this time forming a perfect map. The coordinates glowed and pulsed in a way unmistakably deliberate. Juno checked her scanner. These are systems in the outer ring, far beyond the council's patrol routes. It's showing us where the others are, Ravi said. It wants us to find them. You expect me to authorize a mission based on what could be a trick? Thalos growled. Ravi stepped forward. Steady. No, we're not asking for your permission. We're volunteering. Juno raised her hand. We'll go. Let us find the others. The Morvaxian took another step closer to them. Slowly, it extended both arms and lowered its head. A universal symbol, submission, trust, the drones. Whirred uneasily. Director Thalos signaled them to stay back. I can't stop you from trying, he said, but you will do so at your own risk. We accept that, Ravi said. The creature's glow turned golden, a hue no one had yet seen. Waves of emotion radiated from it. Peace, hope, relief. Other students stood to, one by one. Not all, but enough. Will help, said the Arborian. You won't go alone, said the crystalline student. Thalos watched the room transform before his eyes, from terror to cooperation. He shook his head slowly. Then may the stars guide you. Professor Near turned to Ravi and Juno. This moment will be remembered in the history of sentient contact. I was wrong. We all were. But you saw past the claws and teeth. You saw the mind. Juno looked at the Morvaxian. We saw someone like us. The creature gently placed a hand on both their shoulders. A glow like sunrise spread through the room, wrapping around them like a soft tide. The age of understanding had begun. The Morvaxian's light patterns surged into motion again, but now they were different, faster, layered, filled with urgency and intent. Not just colors or shapes, but entire concepts streamed across its body like a language written in starlight. Juno stood still. Her breath caught in her throat. It's showing us how to find them. A sprawling star map unfolded in brilliant detail. Dozens, maybe hundreds of points flared like lanterns, each surrounded by subtle symbols and coordinates. Then came another layer, red warning glyphs, and bursts of sharp orange light. Dangers, barriers, places they couldn't go, not yet. It knows which systems are safe, Ravi said, watching the lights with wide eyes, and which ones are still hostile. The creature shifted its hand and projected a smaller set of symbols. Near the center of its chest, simple loops and lines that repeated like a pulse. Juno quickly scanned it with her data pad. It's asking a question again. Wants to know if we'll be its messengers, if we'll speak for its kind. Ravi stepped closer. Yes, he said, placing his hand against the creature's. You have our word. The Morvaxian bowed its head slightly. A soft, low sound vibrated through the room, one none of them had heard before. Not a warning, not a call. It sounded like gratitude. Director Thalos was quiet now, unmoving, watching the exchange. Slowly, he turned to the remaining students and staff. Record everything, he ordered. This will go before the Galactic Council. But more importantly, prepare a diplomatic protocol. One that applies not to specimens, but to people. Professor Near glowed brighter than anyone had ever seen him. I will assist. We must rewrite centuries of misunderstanding. Every database, every classification. The Morvaxian turned back to Ravi and Juno. Its lights grew softer, flowing, like ocean waves. Then it pointed again at the map and began drawing connections between the distant dots. Not random, paths, safe routes. Juno's data pad struggled to keep up with the real-time input. These are jump lane alignments, and some of them aren't in any chart. These are secret or forgotten routes. The creature paused, then tapped its chest with a claw. The lights flickered through patterns of loss, hope, and motion. Then it pointed to the humans again. Ravi understood instantly. They've been running for generations, hiding, waiting for someone who could listen. And they think it's us, Juno said. The classroom doors opened again, but this time without alarms. A quiet group entered, council-appointed recorders, biological ethicists, and a first contact specialists from the diplomatic division. They stopped short when they saw the scene. The creature, no longer a threat. The students gathered without fear, the humans standing shoulder to shoulder with it. One of the diplomats, a tall aquatic being in a fluid containment suit, blinked her secondary eyes. Is it true? She asked. This being communicated. Professor Near turned to her. More than that, it remembered, it mourned, it hoped, and it asked for help. The diplomat slowly nodded. Then the council will have to listen. The Morvaxian suddenly changed its posture. It raised both arms, not in a threat, but as if asking to speak. Lights shimmered in rhythm, blooming into symbols none of the humans could translate. But they didn't need to. The message was clear. Please find my family. A stillness fell over the room. Juno stepped forward. We'll go, she said. Ravi and I will find them. I'll fund the mission myself if I have to. Ravi added. They've been alone long enough. The aquatic diplomat stepped forward. No, you won't be alone. The council will provide what you need. But you'll be the first ambassadors, not just for Earth, for a species no one ever gave a chance. The Morvaxian moved once more, slowly wrapping its arms around both humans. A full embrace, careful, deliberate, warm. Ravi returned the gesture without hesitation. So did Juno. For a few moments, there were no races, no species, no fear. Just understanding. The creature pulled back and lifted a claw toward the projection of the star map. One by one, it touched each of the glowing dots. Some it touched gently, others it skipped over. At the end, it pointed to the largest cluster, then to itself. That's where it was born. Juno said softly, that's home. But it's gone, Ravi added, the way it showed it earlier. It was destroyed. Juno's voice was quiet. Then we're not just finding survivors. We're helping them build something new. Professor Near bowed his head, and we owe it to them. The Morvaxian slowly walked to the center of the room, turned in a full circle, and lifted both arms. Its body became a brilliant display of interwoven light, each pulse a story, a memory. Or a signal. It was no longer a predator in a cage. It was a diplomat from a forgotten people. Ravi turned to the class. When I first got here, I thought being a human made me the scariest thing in the room. I thought we'd always be outsiders. Juno nodded. Turns out, being from a death world means we can recognize others who were never given a chance. Maybe that's why it trusted us first, Ravi said. The creature looked at him and flickered a new pattern across its chest, an image that resembled two stars side by side, surrounded by arcs of protection. A name. Juno tapped her tablet and began a new entry. Embassy contact 001. Name, Talon. Species, Morvaxian. Status, ally. Students began to clap, slowly at first, then with rising excitement. Even the security drones turned off their scanners. Professor Near turned to the council observers. Begin preparations. Launch window for the outer corridor opens in 30 hours. These students will lead the first contact expedition. The aquatic diplomat nodded, and history will remember that peace began with a predator no one understood. Ravi turned to Talon, the Morvaxian. Let's go find your people. Talon's light shimmered with joy. Hope real, undeniable lit. The room. In a net radiant moment, the galaxy changed forever.